Today, I want to talk about how the AMC Squeeze is closer than you think, because the shorts have finally changed tactics from trying to convince you into selling to now threatening you into selling. And this shows just how close we really are to the squeeze, because time for the shorts is actually running out. So stay tuned and let's make some money. And now I'll dive straight in with the key information. So, Sal tweeted saying it makes me laugh just how many people resort to threats online, and then absolutely nothing ever happens. He said he stopped keeping count himself after the third or fourth online threat. And this comes after Biggums retweeted this tweet, saying, "Biggums, you've stepped right where I needed you to. Your cockiness led to your fall. You will be arrested, then heavily interrogated. This will lead to the arrests of Boss Blunts and Tony Denaro, and then ultimately to Adam Aaron." It seems the times of those FUD articles saying you should sell your AMC shares just before the big drop are gone. It seems the shills coming out and saying that you should sell AMC and instead buy ape shares are gone as well. And again, gone are the times of shills trying to convince you to sell AMC shares at a lower price or at any price possible before the squeeze happens. And instead, these shills and these shorts are now trying to threaten you into selling your shares, because either you'll be sued or you'll be arrested or worse. But as I'm going to explain in this video, there have been tons and tons of threats made over the last 2 years. Threats of lawsuits, threats of imprisonment, and everything else under the sun, and none of those have come true. Obviously, guys, if you haven't noticed already, I'm not in my usual background, and that's because I'm currently on a family holiday in Portugal, having a great time and hopefully catching a tan. But for now, back to the scheduled AMC content. This tweet I'm about to show you is from another one of those shills trying to convince you that one of the most popular names in the AMC sphere is actually an investment banker from Citibank. So this guy tweeted saying this is not conjecture. Brian Reese, aka AMC Biggums, works or worked for Temp Soft Works, and they did work for Citibank as well. He said connect the dots. So what he uses for this proof is a LinkedIn profile called AMC Biggums that supposedly works as a banker for Citibank and at Temp Works Software. Now again, last time I checked, I'm fairly certain that Biggums' first name is not AMC. And also, I'm pretty sure that his surname also isn't Biggums either. This is clearly a fake profile that was created to try and mislead you or to try and threaten you into selling your shares. Trying to convince you that Biggums and some of the other guys in the AMC space are potentially investment bankers or potentially shorts themselves. But as Biggums added, he said back to the fake LinkedIn profile that looks like a 5-year-old created it. Yeah, sure, that's real. Good God, people, he's never worked at Citibank or at any bank for that matter. And now, as Investor Turf has added, they've said if you've got a problem with Investor Turf statements, this being directed at Doug Sifu, you can take legal action because lawsuits are based on facts. However, we know you won't do so because you already anticipate the consequences. Saying additionally your company Virtue is running a scam designed to rob retail investors, and you're well aware of it. And finally saying we won't be making any further statements in regards to your silly comments. Now, Investor Turf really has hit the nail on the head here. At any time, Doug Sifu or Ken Griffin are free to sue me, you, Investor Turf, or anyone else out there. But we know that they won't, because we know that we're right. Obviously, lawsuits are based on facts, and Citadel and Virtue don't want proof of synthetic shares brought up in court. And therefore they just simply avoid any and all legal action possible. You may remember some time ago, Citadel did actually try and intimidate Cat Striker to stop flying those banners and to stop publicising Citadel's crimes. Citadel sent a very scarily legal letter to Cat Striker, who completely ignored the letter and continued to publicise their crimes. Citadel never took that legal action or a lawsuit any further because they know what would be uncovered in court. And exactly the same way that Doug Sifu never tries to sue Investor Turf for any of their articles, because Doug Sifu knows the articles are accurate and correct. And also knows that if he did try and sue Investor Turf, proof of synthetic shares would be publicised in court. Therefore, instead, he just tries to shame Investor Turf on Twitter, and most of the time gets absolutely nowhere. Investor Turf also added saying Investor Turf moderators, editors and other contributors provide examples for any and all claims we make. If anyone makes a claim without any examples or evidence, the post will be deleted. and they also receive a strike, saying, you see, the problem is, it doesn't matter how much evidence we show, you, aka Doug Sifu, Ken Griffin and the shorts, will still try and deny it. We know they have to deny it because the US politicians are clueless about Ken Griffin's and Doug Sifu's activities, because if the politicians truly understood even 1% of what your business does, your business model wouldn't exist today, and both Ken Griffin and Doug Sifu would be in prison. And also, very interestingly, they've also said, we have many whistleblowers who have actually come forward with files about your company's actions. However, so far we have yet to review them as we haven't had the time, but saying your day will come. This is a promise from Investor Turf. Now, I personally am very excited to see which and what kind of whistleblowers they've had come forward about Doug Sifu and about Virtue. I wonder if they're individual Virtue employees blowing the whistle or just people affiliated with Virtue and their companies. And not only that, but what kind of juicy information they have to share. So therefore, even though shills and the shorts are trying to threaten you with jail time or with legal action if you don't sell your AMC shares, it's likely just empty promises. But it also shows the shorts know they're running out of time, they know that trying to convince you nicely to sell shares isn't working, and therefore they're now resorting to threats. And the reason why their time is running out is because there's a number of people just waiting to snitch on Ken Griffin, Citadel and the other shorts. As Edward Burchak tweeted, he said, Bill Hwang, just spill the beans on Ken Griffin and Citadel's crimes already. Let the whole world see the Ponzi scheme artist that is Ken, aka Bernie Madoff Griffin. Ken Griffin is basically Bernie Madoff 2.0 that's a market maker, runs a hedge fund, and also a dark pool exchange too. Ken is obviously trying to make himself too big to fail, or too big to take down, or too big to imprison, by trying to run a market-making scheme, being a hedge fund, trying to run a dark pool exchange, and trying to do all of the exact same things in the crypto markets as well. But obviously we know Bill Hwang has tons of information, and he's just requested to subpoena a number of major banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and others as well. And it also wouldn't surprise me if he has juicy information on Ken Griffin and Citadel Securities. And again, it's also not just Bill Hwang, it's also Sam Bankman-Fried, who's just been released from his Bahamian prison. This tweet says Sam Bankman-Fried is going to cooperate with the Fed to rat on everyone in crypto to reduce his prison stay. Saying Sam Bankman-Fried has lawyer parents. They'll tell him to talk, and Sam will start squealing, which will also lead to arrests, which could potentially take down the entire crypto sphere and also other areas of the crypto market, like market makers, like Citadel. Especially as we know Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX were working with Citadel and other market makers to create tokenized AMC and GameStop shares. So therefore we've got Bill Hwang and Sam Bankman-Fried, who both have juicy information on Ken Griffin and Citadel Securities that are just begging to snitch. And that is why time for the shorts really is numbered, and why their timer really is on a countdown. Therefore, they're trying to do anything they can, not just to convince you to sell, but to threaten you to sell as well. They're trying to get everyone to sell and escape from their synthetic short position before Bill Hwang and Sam Bankman-Fried end up snitching. And not only that, but as Frank tweeted, he said hedge fund billionaire Dan Loeb laments the victory of meme stocks, saying that fundamental analysis is increasingly taking a back seat to monitor daily option expiries and Reddit message boards. He said the meme crowd, it turns out, is back at it again, driving up stocks and burning short sellers just like they did back in the wild early days of the pandemic. He said Tupperware, Nikola and Yellow have spiraled higher, sticking short sellers in the process with some $435 million in losses over the last 2 months. Loeb, while seemingly untouched by those sudden market swings, made it clear in a letter this week to his clients that his days as a big gambler against individual stocks are over, saying while we have not abandoned short selling altogether, we continue to reduce our single name short exposure in favour of market hedges and short baskets. So it seems this is potentially one of those smaller short sellers that has escaped their short position and has closed out of shorts in Carvana, Upstart, in many other stocks, and has luckily managed to escape because he knows so many other short sellers are trapped. He said one short seller after another was burned by the meme stock crowd back in early 2021 as amateur investors banded together on forums like Reddit's Wall Street Bets. And he said that strategy has come roaring back in recent weeks. Many of these stocks like Yellow, Nikola, Tupperware, Upstart, Carvana and many others are up 400% plus so far this year. And those sudden pops can leave money managers with short positions exposed to massive losses. And he said the short selling environment is much more challenging than it has been historically. So clearly even some of these smaller short sellers know the jig is up for the big guys and that they will be squeezed out of their short positions, bankrupting their funds. But guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.